Asia Wilson's just a big bully. Look at this. Throws Lexi Hall on the ground. Everything she does is illegal. Look at this one. A moving screen and then pushes Lexi Hall. You think they ever call a foul on Asia Wilson?
Why would a two-time MVP, the undisputed queen of the WNBA, seem so obsessed with a rookie? On the surface, Asia Wilson's aggression toward Caitlin Clark looks like a champion defending her throne. But when you look closer at the cheap shots, the sideline antics, and the flagrant fouls, a much darker picture emerges. The hits are too hard, the excuses are too weak, and the motivation appears to be deeply personal. This isn't just basketball, it's a bitter rivalry, fueled by something the cameras were never supposed to catch.
Legacy. She made history before the ball even tipped, but the game that followed reminded the Aces how tough this playoff run will be.
The Indiana Fever have pulled off the upset, the 6th seed, beating Vegas 89-73 to take game 1.
Before the storm arrived, Asia Wilson sat on an unshakable throne. She was, without question, the face of the WNBA. With 2 championships in her hands and 2 MVP trophies on her shelf, she embodied dominance. Her Las Vegas Aces weren't just a team, they were a dynasty, a finely tuned machine built on power, skill, and an intimidating swagger that crushed opponents before the game even started. Wilson was the league's final boss, an unstoppable force in the paint whose combination of strength and finesse had no equal. She had built her kingdom, and she ruled it with absolute authority.
And Asia Wilson and the Las Vegas Aces lose game 1 on their home court to the Indiana Fever 89-73. The Indiana Fever were in control of this game from start to finish. There was a small little patch there in the third quarter. We started saying, are the Aces gonna come back? But Kelsey Mitchell and Odyssey Sims said, no, they're not going to come back.
But then, a tsunami of hype crashed into her perfectly ordered world. Caitlin Clark didn't just join the league, she arrived as a cultural phenomenon. Record-breaking television ratings followed her every move. Arenas that once had empty seats were suddenly sold out, with ticket prices soaring into the hundreds. Clark brought multi-million-dollar endorsement deals from Nike and Gatorade, and her team was suddenly flying on private jets, a luxury unheard of for most of the league. The Caitlin Clark effect was real, and it was a force of nature that the established order was completely unprepared for. Suddenly, the queen of the court was no longer the main story.
You actually just referenced it twice. It is Indiana. Dropped 2 of the 3 games to them this year, but you haven't seen them since late July. What excites you about that matchup?
That they haven't seen the real Aces yet. They caught us when we were at a bit in turmoil. Not only that, they whooped us one of those stretches. So, you know what? We'll buckle in, hone in where we can, and take care.
The first shots weren't fired with an elbow, but with a microphone. In a preseason interview, Wilson voiced what many veterans were whispering in the locker room. She questioned the media's singular focus on Clark, suggesting that race played a significant role in the rookie's instant meteoric stardom. She argued that the league's established stars, many of them black women, who had toiled for years to build the WNBA, were being disrespected and overlooked. To her supporters, it was a valid critique of media bias. But to others, it sounded like a champion's warning, an early, desperate attempt to control a narrative that was already slipping from her grasp.
The Fever crashed the party. Kelsey Mitchell dropped a playoff career-high 34 points to spoil the night with an 89-73 win.
In the second half, I just felt like our physicality and our pursuit was not there. Like, we died on screens. You have to have second and third efforts. Even if you know you might be beat, you still have to try hard to get back into the play, and I don't think we tried hard in that category.
Once the season began, it became clear that Clark's welcome party to the league was going to be ugly. The physicality wasn't just coming from Wilson, it felt like a league-wide memo had gone out. Players like Dejanai Carrington of the Connecticut Sun went viral for mocking Clark's signature three-point celebrations after playing suffocating defense. Opponents set harder screens, delivered sharper hip checks, and made sure every trip to the lane came with a price. It was a relentless campaign of physical intimidation, a brutal hazing ritual played out on national television. And while many players took their shots, one star seemed to be orchestrating it all from the shadows.
You better not blank on the mission, bitch. You might get ranked. Shot back. Let it go. Right. Go. What is? Flash for somebody. Die. You don't want to fight no.
That shadow campaign burst into the light during a game between the Indiana Fever and the Chicago Sky. Chennedy Carter, with the ball nowhere in sight, delivered a vicious blindside hip check that sent Clark sprawling to the floor. The play was universally condemned as a cheap shot, but the most damning evidence of a deeper conspiracy came from the Las Vegas Aces bench. Leaked footage captured AJ Wilson watching the play, laughing, and enthusiastically hyping Carter up. It was a shocking moment of betrayal. The league's MVP, its supposed leader, was openly celebrating a dirty play against a rookie. The mask was off.
See, Hall was getting pushed all game. Look at that. Like elbowed, pushed, but guess who fell? That's an illegal screen. She leans into Lexi Hall, pushes her. Look at this. Pushes Lexi Hall down. Like, I can't take this crap. I'm sick of watching it over and over. That's a moving screen. And then pushes her again. Look at that. You can't do that. They didn't call any. This is the only one they called a foul. She straight pushed Kelsey Mitchell.
When the Aces and Fever finally met for the first time, the game plan was brutally simple: bully ball. The contest quickly devolved from a showcase of skill into a street fight. Wilson made it her personal mission to be Clark's shadow, not to defend her, but to punish her. She set bone-rattling screens, initiated contact dozens of feet from the basket, and used every ounce of her superior strength to knock Clark off balance. The message was clear and was echoed by her teammates. This wasn't about winning the game. It was about inflicting a physical and mental toll.
And then this pathetic foul to start the game off with. But ball never lies. I love when karma happens. Yeah, miss your free throw. And then here we go. Check this out. A foul. Look at this one. She swings her elbows on Powers. And Powers just holding her ground. But it's a foul. Let's go through this. This is A'ja Wilson. I'm so big and bad. No, you didn't get touched. It wasn't that cool. You made a layup.
The simmering aggression finally boiled over into a moment of undeniable violence. As Clark moved without the ball, trying to get open, Wilson stepped up to set a screen, but it wasn't a screen. She lowered her shoulder and extended her arm, catching Clark directly in the head. The impact snapped Clark's head back as she fell to the court. The referee, standing just feet away, immediately blew the whistle and signaled for a flagrant 1 foul. There was no ambiguity. It was a blatant, dangerous, and illegal hit delivered by the league's reigning MVP onto its biggest star.
But then Aaliyah Boston swings her elbows around and makes a shot, but no, she can't do it. She's a Fever. An Indiana Fever. She said, that's a flop. That's what Caitlin said. Here we go. A'ja Wilson. Look at her trying to flop to get a call. Nobody touched you. And this is the biggest bullcrap of the game. So Kelsey Mitchell goes in for a layup. A'ja Wilson shows them their lip, so they review it. Ever see an Indiana Fever player get a review when they're called for a foul and they zoom in with a microscope and call it technical? They called it technical on Kelsey Mitchell.
After the game, Wilson's explanation was almost as shocking as the foul itself. She stood before reporters and with a straight face dismissed the incident as nothing more than a basketball play. She claimed she was just trying to be aggressive on a screen, as if hitting an opponent in the head was a normal part of the game. Her coach, Becky Hammon, echoed the sentiment, defending her star and criticizing the officiating. But their words felt like pure gaslighting. Millions had seen the replay from a dozen different angles. It was a desperate attempt to rewrite a story that had already been permanently etched into the public consciousness.
A'ja Wilson. Look at that foul they called for. Yeah, saved her. That's some bullcrap. I love Aaliyah Boston. Great job today playing defense. Look at that. Another foul. Bailed out by the refs. I get pissed off. This is the worst one. They call this a jump ball. How is that a jump ball? Nobody even had possession. Aaliyah Boston, that's anything is over the back. Not a jump ball.
The fallout was a media firestorm. The clip of the foul went viral, and the debate transcended sports talk shows. Commentators like Stephen A. Smith and Charles Barkley weighed in, turning the incident into a national conversation about jealousy, sportsmanship, and the treatment of a rising star. Fans were divided into two fierce camps: those who defended Wilson, claiming it was just welcome to the league physicality, and those who saw it as a clear-cut case of a threatened veteran trying to injure a rival. The cheap shot had solidified the narrative that the old guard was out to get Clark.
Money Mitch, put him in a ditch! Who on the Las Vegas Aces is going to try to stop Kelsey Mitchell? Because from what I just saw, they had no answer for her. Kirsten Bell, line right up, smacked. Jackie Young, step right up, torched. Chelsea Gray, torched. Jewel Lloyd, torched. Nobody could hang with Kelsey Mitchell as she goes off.
But Caitlin Clark's response to the onslaught became her most powerful weapon. She never retaliated. She didn't scream at the officials or get into shouting matches with her opponents. After every hard foul, after every cheap shot that sent her to the hardwood, she would get up, dust herself off with an almost unnerving calm, and walk to the free throw line, and then she would make them pay. She calmly sank her free throws, and more often than not, on the very next possession, she would pull up from the logo and drain a soul-crushing three-pointer. Her revenge was never physical. It was executed with ice-cold precision on the scoreboard.
That time, keeping the pivot foot alive and going strong side for Wilson.
Mitchell this time finds a lane to the basket. Inside to Turner. Nice look from Mitchell, which follows 5 Eastern time on ESPN. Mitchell.
The numbers tell a story that Wilson's words cannot hide. In games against the Indiana Fever, Wilson's play becomes visibly more emotional and less efficient. Her shooting percentage often drops as she forces contested shots, and her defensive focus wavers, leading to uncharacteristic mistakes. Meanwhile, Clark's plus-minus rating in those matchups is consistently among the best on her team, proving her value even while under constant physical duress. The statistics suggest that while Wilson is trying to win a fight, Clark is focused on winning the game.
Good anticipation there by Brianna Turner. She's been on a couple WNBA all defensive teams, and she has really been key for them on that end of the floor in these playoffs.
Sims, yet again.
That's a tough matchup.
Which follows 5 Eastern time on ESPN. Mitchell. Lot of arc on that and a couple in the regular season in Asia. And the entire.
As the attacks on Clark continued, the Indiana Fever began to fight back. Her teammates, particularly powerhouse center Aaliyah Boston, started delivering their own hard screens and getting into verbal altercations to protect their star player. The team's coach, Christy Sides, became a vocal critic of the officiating, eventually earning a fine for publicly stating that Clark was being unfairly targeted and that the referees needed to do more to protect her. The message from the Fever was clear. They were no longer going to be the league's punching bag.
Tipped by Sims, so 9 seconds to shoot.
Hull's done a nice job on Jackie Young early in this game. Jackie likes to go north to south. She's made her play east to west, has not given her an angle to the bucket or to the rim.
And that was one of the things that was talked about to make Jackie move laterally. She's so dangerous. We got to hurry. Chelsea gets it inside to Young. Rebound by Howard.
This clash is about more than just two players. It represents a battle for the soul of the WNBA. A'ja Wilson is the guardian of the old school, a league defined by grit, low-post dominance, and punishing physicality. Caitlin Clark is the herald of the new school, a league built on speed, spacing, and the limitless range of the three-point shot. It's a fundamental conflict of styles and philosophies, and the outcome will likely define the identity of the WNBA for the next decade.
They don't want to talk about it. Yeah, her missing layup after layup after layup. They want to talk about Caitlin Clark missing a three-pointer from half court while she got people falling into her legs. But nobody wants to talk about A'ja Wilson looking like Angel Reese, missing point-blank layups all game long. In a playoff game, 6 for 22. So
Wilson finished.
Lexi Hull had that great steal to seal the win against Atlanta. Great start for Leah Boston.
Definitely the best slasher.
Boston and Wilson, two former South Carolina players. A'ja can't find the bottom of the net.
5'11". Odyssey Sims and Kelsey Mitchell, 5'8".
Boston up, under, and in.
Really having her battle.
A'ja.
Regardless of people think we aren't going to win, people think we're not going to come back, like the game's never over until that final buzzer. So for us, just continuing to believe, continuing to trust in the process. But yeah, that game was really exciting, and I think that just showed us that we really are capable of whatever we want.
Beyond the box score, an unseen war rages on the court. It's in the constant trash talk whispered after a made basket, the deliberate stare downs during a dead ball, and the extra shoves delivered long after the whistle has blown. Wilson and her teammates engage in a relentless campaign of psychological warfare, trying to get into Clark's head and break her legendary focus. Every possession is a mental battle as much as it is a physical one, a test of will designed to see if the rookie will finally crack under the pressure.
We've got to keep the main thing, and that is us playing to a standard of basketball that we want to have as an Indiana Fever organization and franchise. We've got to keep our layers, the outside, the people in our building, and the people in our locker room. And the thing I'm just so proud of with this group is it doesn't matter who's on the floor, it doesn't matter who's on our roster. They give each other the freedom to be themselves. They empower one another to be themselves and to be the best version of themselves. And every time we've had a change, every time we've brought someone in, every time we've had rotational changes, they're for each other. They live the we over the me. And when you have that, it just gives you opportunities to do really special things.
It's impossible to ignore the financial factor simmering beneath the surface of this rivalry. Caitlin Clark entered the league with an unprecedented 8-figure Nike deal, a contract larger than the salaries of entire WNBA teams combined. While stars like Wilson have their own lucrative endorsements, they fought for years to get them. The perception that a rookie, regardless of her talent, could so effortlessly command that level of wealth and attention has undoubtedly fueled some of the resentment from veterans who feel they laid the groundwork for her success.
Yeah, I feel good. I mean, our group has seen it all. We wanted to come in and be the aggressor right away to make sure that we were dictating on the defensive end, and we were dictating from a pace standpoint. They're champions for a reason. We knew that they were going to make runs. They made a big one in the third, and we responded with a big one. I'm proud of our team. It's one game. It's a long series, so we got to keep the main thing. But to come in here and to be able to steal this one was big for us.
In the end, A'ja Wilson is fighting a battle on two fronts. One against Caitlin Clark on the court, and another against her own legacy in the history books. She is an all-time great, but her story is now inextricably linked to the rookie she has so aggressively targeted. Will she be remembered as the fierce competitor who sharpened a future legend through a trial by fire, or will she be seen as the threatened queen who tried and failed to extinguish the brightest flame the sport had ever seen? Their war is just beginning, and the future of the league hangs in the balance.